Hi, welcome back to another episode of Time Out with Gabby. And with me here is a member of the House of Ebony, the Celestial Ben, and Solstice. How are you today?
I'm doing quite good, you know. We just finished the blackening. I'm feeling very rejuvenated.
Vagina.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I have been pussified.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, it's great to have you on my podcast finally. So, you want to tell us about Little Soul?
Little soul. What about her? Like,
What was it like as a child, like growing up, thinking you were
um,
different from people? Like, thinking you were just pause.
let me think. I think as a child, I was always very quiet. I was very timid. I'd always keep to myself. I was definitely seen as a very what's the word? A very just like chill, like good kid, I guess, because I always feel like I wouldn't like cause any issues. I was always just very quiet, keeping to myself, sort of thing. Most of the time, I just I think I'd usually use like video games or like TV shows and like anime and stuff as like an escape to really like find ways to express myself and just like I don't know, just like enjoy myself, I guess, because I would keep to myself a lot. But yeah.
It's amazing. So when did drag start for you? Like, what made you decide to go into drag?
I would definitely say that a pivotal moment of mine was going to New York. Before then, I was still like a bit on the fence for applying for Fresh Fruits, Shema's show that he hosts, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to like do drag. Even if I like did start it, it definitely wasn't. I started my sort of journey with Vivi Ivy,
Oh, nice.
and we were like, yeah, with the Vivi was like we should apply for like Fresh Fruits, you know. Vivi really wanted to make it sort of like a career, you know, like be very serious about it. But I kind of just always saw it as like at most like a hobby that I could like learn to enjoy and like allow myself to express myself a bit more creatively. And so I was still like a bit on the fence because I was like, can I really participate in this like art form if I'm not as serious, like if I'm not as
Yeah.
like I need this to like be like a job that works out for me. I need to like get on Drag Race. Like the entire time I was always just like at most I would just want to use this to like express myself and use this to like find community and like get to like express my creative side with like makeup and stuff, but I was never like I want to go above and beyond. And
Hmm.
then when I went to New York, I saw some queens. I saw Lana Del Rey, Devdo, and Mariah in New York City. Um, and I saw all three of them. They were performing at, I don't remember what venue it was, but they had like a weekly show. And it was Lana Del Rey's birthday. And Lana Del Rey is like one of like my favorite queens. And so just getting to like see all the like black like drag excellence there and like black trans excellence and like also just like seeing the community in New York, I definitely left there feeling very, just feeling like I really wanted to be able to have that sort of community and to have that sort of like expression at like home. Because I didn't just want it to be like a thing that I
Traveling
get
and
to,
wasting money.
yeah. And I didn't just want it to be like something where I experience it in New York and then I go back home and I'm like, oh, like I wish I could like have that, you know? And so I was like, you know, after that, I was like, maybe I should like take this a bit more seriously. Maybe I could like create this like community and like find this like enjoyment in like where I live, like Edmonton, like my home, and then not have to sort of like keep on dreaming about places like New York and being like, oh, I wish I had like the community that like it seems like there's so much like community in New York. I'd always be like, oh, I wish like I had that here. I wish I could like start, you know, I just like eventually I was like, okay, maybe I should just like do it and just put myself out there and try it out. And I did, yeah.
Now look at you. Mm. So what would you say has been or is your favorite performance to date?
My favorite performance? Oh, that's a good one. Um, I would say that's like a really hard one. I don't know if I have like a favorite. There are like a few. Like I could say my debut number, I did Chosen Family. That would
Yeah.
always feel like so close to my heart, like so near and dear. I It was just like nice to actually be able to like perform and like do this song that I feel like had so much significance and like relevance in my life and all the people that were just starting to like support me as I just like debuted in my
Yeah.
drag career. And so I definitely think that's one of my favorites. I like handed out flowers to everyone that was present, that I felt like they were my chosen family. And I always love to see when people are like, oh my gosh, like I love to like go to like a friend's place and still like see the flower that I gave them literally a year ago,
Oh my
and just
god.
like on their desk or like above their bed or like on their wall, and it always makes me feel very happy. So I definitely think chosen family is one of my favorites. I don't know if it's my favorite, but definitely one of my favorites. Besides that, I'd say hmm, it's really tough.
Yeah, you have a lot of good numbers.
Thank you.
I like the one from the hold down
Mm-hmm.
and the one from the
Really, yeah.
blackening.
I like my hold down number for sure. I haven't done lots of like
Ballads, yeah.
ballads, and so it was definitely like a very fun number to do. I just loved like having my little big afro and doing a Beyonce number. But I also like my blackening one. I kind of liked how, what's the word? I just like knew that everyone in that space were like so supportive, and it was going to be like a great show no matter
Yeah.
what. Where I felt like I could be a bit more vulnerable and just like show up in my pasties and like like with blood all over me and just
Right.
serve puss and everyone.
Resurrect.
Exactly. So yeah, I definitely, there's like a few that I really like for sure.
What is your least favorite number?
My least favorite number. Oh, don't think I've thought about that.
Oh, she's so good, honey.
No, let me think. I I don't think I have. I'm trying to remember.
We have a first, people.
I don't think I have a least favorite
We
number.
have a first for someone who doesn't have a least favorite number.
I don't know. I'm really trying to remember, but like all my numbers, like no matter what, I feel like I always try and go in with either like a vision of like the story for it, or just like how I want to like perform. And I feel like I can always like understand and meet myself where I was at that point. So even if maybe I didn't like perform or execute like what I wanted to like the fullest of like what my plan was like in my head, I still know that I did like the best that I could in like that sort of moment. And so I feel like in none of my numbers, I'm just like, oh, like I hate it. I just feel like, and if I didn't like it, I would just like use that as an opportunity to sort of like do it again to improve. And so I definitely don't think there's like a number that I'm not a fan of. I don't know.
Fair enough. What would you say? What is your coming out story if you had any?
My coming out story, I actually don't think I did have a coming out story. It's kind of I like growing up like pre-transition. So when sort of like people sort of identified as like uh cis gay man, I guess we were just like queer in general. I don't think I literally like never had a
And
coming
it's
out story. I
label,
never
yeah.
put any label. I was just like, okay, I'm not straight. That's like the end of it. You know what I mean? And I never had like a coming out story. Like I never had to come out to any of my friends because they were like all mostly queer, and then like you don't have to like go up to a queer person and be like, I'm queer. Like you don't have to really come out to
A
them.
Facebook post. I'm
Yeah.
officially gay.
No, I never did anything like that. Even like
No shade though.
no. Please. Even and then this year when I sort of like was, I guess like you could say I came out as trans. Again, like I never really, there weren't really many people that I like was like, oh yeah, like I'm a girl now. I just think I was like people like I told
Followed
them,
suit,
yeah, they
yeah.
followed suit. Like I would be like, oh yeah, I just started HRT, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course. Like everyone was sort of just like
I mean, same.
waiting. Yeah. Everyone was just sort of like waiting, or like they were like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Like I don't think I really had to come up to anyone specifically. I'd say like the most is actually okay, that might be a bit of a lie, because I think at like my workplace I did sort of have to like come out there, but everything was like great. Everyone took it like really well. Everyone was like super supportive of everything, and again, even them, they were all just like, yeah, they like expected it, or they like
That's so
nothing feels
sweet.
very like out of place. Like they're just like, yeah. And so I don't know. I don't think I've had like a big like coming out. The most would just be like at work or at school when I was like, don't call me by my dead name, like call me by like Soul, and that was about it.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine. What was it like back then? Like trying
Hmm.
to get people call you by your name you want.
Um, I don't think it was too difficult. Most of my friends that I already had, like, I have been going by Soul for about 4 or 5 years now, actually. Most of like my friends that I met like online, or I like met during quarantine already like knew me by Soul, because that's just sort of the name that I was like, it was like my
Going with.
online, yeah. And so, and then like when I started drag, or like even before, like when I was just like in the queer scene, I'd always like introduce myself as Soul for the most part.
Oh, nice.
And so like no one really knew me as like my dead name. So the only place where I really had to like get people to refer or like tell them that like, oh, I like go by Soul now was at work, where again like my legal name was what I was using, and then like at school where again like my legal name was what I was using. But even then, all like my school friends were super supportive and super like, yeah, they just like switched like immediately. There was never like any hiccups or anything. And again with work was like pretty good too.
Nice. What would you say has been your favorite part of starting drag or being
Mhm.
a drag artist?
I would definitely say just like all the like love and support and the community that I've like garnered from starting drag. I definitely could not like imagine my life being like where it is now without drag. I definitely think it allowed me to really put myself out there and like get to know more people in like the queer scene here, and get to like even discover the queer scene, and honestly even get to like maybe even help build the queer scene myself, you know, and have like
Well, yes.
mhm.
She put the brick up.
I said it here first, y'all. Saint Solstice threw the first brick at Stonewall.
So it's your 1 year anniversary of doing drag.
Mhm,
How did it feel when you won the best drag debut? Best, yeah, drag debut,
mhm.
right?
Honestly, I was just like, oh, this feels correct.
Right, as a.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I wasn't like very like lots of people have already been like had already been like, oh my gosh, yes, like I voted for you, I voted for you. Like I
Yeah,
didn't really ask anyone for the most part to be like, please vote for me. I was just like, whatever happens, happens, because I've always
yeah,
been like very proud of my debut. And then so I like wasn't really if I don't want to say like I didn't care, but I just like wasn't bothered by if I like won it or not, you know. I was always very proud of like what I did for my debut.
yeah.
But then when I went to the stilettos and then they called my name, I was like, oh, period, I
Well,
guess. And I like went up and I was
yes.
like, slay. It was definitely very nice, and it was nice to like see my debut being like given the sort of like flowers, I guess, and being like
Yeah.
acknowledged, and people like letting me know that I did start off like really well. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I wasn't too surprised, but I also wasn't. I was just like, oh, that's like so nice, but it wasn't anything like too, whoa, you know.
Right.
hmm
Nothing. Well, it was amazing. How did you and Vivi meet?
Um, we met about 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we went to the same junior high school, and so I moved here when I was in grade eight. Grade eight is when I first started moved to Edmonton, and so during then was when I like met Vivi at like in junior high. We weren't like super close friends, but we talked here and there, and it was actually funny because like I feel like the first few times we met immediately we were like, oh my gosh, we should like head to like go to New York sometimes. Like New York would be like a great,
Really?
yeah, like.
You just met. You were talking about New York.
We were,
Or
yeah, I feel like we could just sort of tell that we were both like queer, even if like I feel like at that age, especially like junior high, no one really like comes at like you just like you hang out with your friends that you feel like are a bit like also like queer accepting or
yeah.
whatever, and then you just like go from there. Like I don't think there was ever a moment where me and Vivi were like, oh my gosh, I'm not straight, you're not straight. You know, we just kind of like knew, and then we went from there. And I feel like we really gravitated to like places where we felt lots of queer people were at. So we talked about places like LA, we talked about places like New York,
Yeah.
but we just felt like New York was like where the culture was, you know, that's where like ballroom started, that's where like so many things like started, and that's where so many like just like everything, you know, it's kind of like the what's the word? I don't know. I don't know. It's just like the place for queer people, especially Black queer people. And so immediately we were like, we should go to New York someday. And you know, it was just like kind of like a joke because obviously that was like 10 years ago. We didn't really know what the future had in store, but it was nice to finally be able to sort of like go to New York with her when I turned 21 and be like, yeah, like we planned this like so many years ago, and now it's actually coming to fruition.
Oh my God, that's amazing. What would you say is your pet peeve?
A pet peeve that I have, let me think. Hmm, I don't know. What do you think your pet? You give me your pet peeves, and then maybe that'll help me think of
Honey,
something
I
of
have a
my own.
lot, but I'll just say when I
Mm-hmm.
drive and people are trying to switch lanes and they don't
Mm-hmm.
trafficate, I find that
Okay.
really annoying.
Mm-hmm. This is hard.
I find it, I have a lot of pet peeve when people say cunt. It's
Mhm.
like, well, that's outdated, honey. It's puss.
It is not outdated. Cunt is forever.
Cunt forever.
Cunt is for cunt is forever.
I'm just
Don't
trying
y'all
to be
agree?
weird.
Cunt is forever.
Is it?
It is.
Well, I'm the puss president, and
The
I
president. And you know
ban
what?
that word.
You know what happens though? You know, presidencies never last forever. At most, they last 4 to 8 years. So what you're saying is that puss is
Oh, I guess I
temporary.
should be the prime minister of
Prime minister
puss.
also only lasts 4 to 8 years.
They don't last for 8 years.
Yes, they do.
Just the election, they can stay there forever. Honey.
So you think you're going to be keep being elected?
I mean, like, I can resign for the children, but
Mhm. Okay, Vice President. Anyways, I really don't know if I have any pet peeves. I feel like any pet peeve I say will just be like things that like are just like genuinely like annoying. Like I could be like, I don't know. Hmm. God, I really can't think of a pet
that's
peeve.
okay. Um, what would you say is the best part of being in the House of Ebony?
Oh my God, the best part of being in the House of Ebony, I would definitely say just like having this like familial bond with like these people that I've been like getting to know so well, and I'm like getting being so close to, and getting to see each other like so frequently, and just like knowing that we all like enjoy each other's like presence, and also just like seeing all of us like grow. Like there's
Yeah,
been so much growth that I would say has that I've like seen in like even you and Keeks and Mix Jackson and even like Lucian, like just like so much growth, and it's so nice to be able to like witness that in like a sort of house setting, and being able to like just like be so proud of like my house sisters and my aunties, like you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we've come towards the end of the show. Are there any
Hmm.
advice you have for upcoming drag artists? Like, any tips for them?
Hmm. Any tips? Let me think. I would just say like keep on practicing, keep on like doing your thing. I think a common rhetoric, or like a common thing that I hear lots of like performers or people that want to perform say is that, oh, I'm not like good enough yet. I don't want to like debut, or I don't want to start until I feel like
You're
I'm
good
good enough.
enough, yeah.
But the thing is, there's like so much growth, and there's so much that you will learn by simply starting, that I feel like it's almost never worth like putting
Waiting
it
so
off.
long, yeah.
Yeah. Like I think like if you're like, oh, I want to like start, but I like don't know how to do makeup. Well, then start, and then it'll like kind of give you that motivation. Be like, okay, let me like actually start practicing makeup, because I feel like sometimes it'll be so easy to just like procrastinate and like
Yeah,
not do it. And there's just so much growth. There's so much experience, and there's so much like even support that you might not even know about, that you won't receive until you actually start putting yourself out there. And so I just think that try not to try not to stop your own blessings. Just like go for
yeah.
it. If you want to do it, go for it and practice. And yeah,
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. And I'll catch you on the next episode.
of course.